Welcome to Shrink Wrapped. I'm Allison Colarossi here with Dr. David Colarossi, and we are here for another episode of Shrink Wrapped. Happy summer.
Happy summer. It's been a long time. We've lacked the discipline and consistency that we need to make this podcast successful.
This is true, but I do have some really exciting things to share, and I've been very excited to get back to Shrink Wrapped.
What do we have? What's on the docket for today?
For our listeners, David and I just celebrated our 15-year wedding anniversary.
We did. Never a fuss or a fight for 15 years. Perfect.
And we went to the Go programs and we did a crazy trail run. David signed me up for our anniversary and didn't tell me, and it was straight uphill.
Yeah.
Completed, though. Checked that box.
Well, first of all, I feel it's funny to me that we were in Vail, mountainous area, and it was a trail run, and Allison was shocked by the fact that there was uphill.
I didn't know that people did that. Like, why would you sign up for an uphill run?
Versus just all downhill?
No, just like, like a little hills or not. It never occurred to me that it would be uphill. But I did it. We did it.
And I'm proud of you. Can I just sort of reflect on some of the presents that I've gotten you that in the moment you didn't love, but in retrospect you've really appreciated?
Okay.
So, for example, when Allison turned 30, I bought her, out of the goodness of my heart, a bib for the Ride of the Rockies, which in Colorado is a 5-day ride, not a race, a 5-day ride, and every day you ride between 70 and 100 miles. And I think on day 2, we're riding into Leadville, and Allison is riding her bike, combo screaming and crying at me that she doesn't think I know her well enough, and that she may want to get divorced when we get into Leadville.
I did not feel seen on that birthday.
And you were definitely heard. That is for sure. You were. I heard you.
I do think it's a weird thing for you to sign me up for a bike ride of that magnitude. It's the equivalent of running a marathon a day for 5 days without training at high altitude. And expect me, I feel like I'm really happy. I'm flattered that you thought I could do it, but I actually don't even think you thought about whether or not I could do it. You just were like, I want to do this. And I mean, Allison kind of knows how to use her gears on her bike.
She's still.
I'm riding up mountains.
Okay, well, first of all, let me just say, there is room for improvement on your gearing, but you did it, right? You're welcome.
Okay, I don't think we should go back to that because I did not feel seen on that birthday.
It's still a point of trauma.
But I feel like David has a trifecta of celebrations that he has to execute, which is Mother's Day, my birthday, and our anniversary, all within a week and a half of each other.
Yeah, it is. It's the gauntlet of Allison celebration.
I felt very seen this year.
Did you?
Yeah. For Mother's Day, he did a high tea with the boys. It was so cute.
I
had cucumber sandwiches.
I made cucumber sandwiches. I made all kinds of little. I've never actually been to a high tea, so I just made a bunch of niblets. I don't know what they are. Just little things to nibble on. And I stacked them, like a tower, like they do at high tea. And then I bought fancy tea glasses.
Yes, I felt very seen for Mother's Day.
All right, so I knew that was good. And then we went to Italy, but I feel like I didn't really get credit for that because you planned the entire trip.
That was my 15-year wedding anniversary to David. We went to Puglia, which is on the Adriatic coast, and we did a bike tour with the kids. And it is I feel like for all 4 of us, we think it's the best way for us to travel.
Yeah.
We love it. People would be like, oh, you have a 6 and 9-year-old. They do it. David was on a tandem with our 9-year-old, and I was doing a tag along, and it's just so fun. They sing, they talk to you the whole time. They did say, we've done this before. They did say the ride was easy this year. I disagree.
I think it's easy if you have a nice road bike and you don't have a kid dragging you down. If it's just you by yourself, it's probably reasonably easy. It's 20 miles a day, which is not that. It's fine. But when you have like for you have a 6-year-old plus that 60-year-old 60-pound bike that you're trying to haul. It becomes it's quite the event, quite the effort.
It was. Although I felt like this year we were physically fitter to do it. Mm-hmm. Although we never got on a bike before we did it, which I feel like we need to change that training program. We're getting older. We need to get on a bike before we go.
Pelotoning. I was ready. Enzo and I were great. I got Enzo, the 9-year-old who actually pedals, in a lighter bike than Allison. So I think you had a much harder go.
It was really fun though, and so I hope that we continue to do that. Mm-hmm. And that was a really special. That was a special trip for me.
Is there any like fun stories to tell tied to that you can think of?
On the bike? Well, just like so many times you were behind me with Enzo reminding Lino to pedal up the hill. But as I like can't breathe, I'm like
there's
hyperventilating.
A lot of Lino just taking a ride in the back. There's a lot of, I would say that
the naming of the lobsters.
Yes, we were in Monopoly, Italy, and so like we stopped for lunch in Monopoly, and so we go and we're at a fish market or whatever, and they're like, Enzo wants to get some lobster.
Which is not like high end in this town. It's just like part of the normal diet. So
the most expensive meal we had was when we got back to the States and you and I went out for dinner by ourselves. It was more expensive than all 4 of us to eat in Monopoly.
Yes.
So anyway, so they're getting lobster, or Enzo's having lobster, and they bring out 2 lobsters and they put them next to Enzo and they go, "Are these ones good enough for you, sir?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then the waiters named him for him and then killed him in front of Enzo.
It's a learning experience.
It was a learning experience. Yeah. That was good. I would say the other sort of theme was there was a lot of bowel-related episodes with the kids. You know, like times when Lena needed to go to the bathroom, like we're in the middle of a tour. Oh. You know,
yes.
Looking in, you know, we got to stop and run back because we have a restroom issue. I feel like there's a lot of, we're not good at managing.
No, it's always at a bad time. But I think one of the craziest stories was we went to drop off the bike in Matera, which is the oldest city in Europe, actually. And it's like our hotel was like in the stone, and the whole town is carved out of stone. And then
it's like a line. It's a gorge or a valley, and it's all limestone. So the people that lived there thousands of years ago didn't build houses; they just would build.
They would dig it out,
caves, and so those caves still exist, and so you could stay in a hotel that is literally a cave,
which I thought was so cool. That was really fun. But we we were there, and we because of the hotel was in a cave, we couldn't bring our rental bikes to the hotel, so we had to drop them off at the bike shop. And we're walking back, and all of a sudden the sky opens up, and it is like a torrential downpour. But nowhere for the water to go. And it is just me, Enzo, and Lino, and you're not there. And it is like flash flooding down in Matera, all stone, like you can slip. It's just like one of my favorite memories is I'm like, Enzo, don't let go of Lino.
Yeah, that was good. It was a fun trip.
Yeah, and then we went and we did the mud run at the GoPro games, and we also did a trail run. Mm-hmm. The boys did a bike race. It was so fun. We had a fun summer has started out great. And
then for your birthday, I made, what did I make?
You made the boys clean out fish.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Did Lino help or just Enzo helped?
Lino just touched the fish's eyes. That was as far as he would get, was he kept poking their eyes. But Enzo was... I mean, that kid needs to get more exposure to grime and dirt. Because I cut open the fish. He starts, I was like, "Oh, yeah. What's the fish I got? It wasn't trout. It was big trout. What was it called?"
You got branzino.
And Enzo's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to get in there." And then I cut it open, and he's like, "What's all that?" "That's the guts. That's what you're cleaning out." And he was like so grossed out. And he's like one finger in trying to get the, just... And then later on, after it cleaned them all out, I wanted him to hold the fish open so I could salt and pepper and put olive oil in there, and he was so grossed out. I mean, just It just made me think we need to go throw him in a mud pit or something.
Well, he did really great in the mud run.
Yeah, he did. He did. That's fun.
Yeah, so far so good.
And we also listened to the Jill Duggar book.
Yes, I'd love to have a book club about that book because it was so good. I was a fan of 19 and Counting. I couldn't believe that they had so many happy kids.
And now what do you think?
I feel like it was a lot of controlling. Like Jim Bob was very controlling. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like Michelle Duggar is very loving. Like she is as loving as you see on TV. That's how Jill portrays Jill Duggar.
I never watched 19 and Counting.
I just was so shocked. Jill Duggar, or the mom Duggar, I can't remember her name, is just so sweet all the time. And I was like, how do you do that with 19 kids? They're like, none of the kids are bouncing off walls. Mm-hmm. But it seems like Jim Bob was pretty controlling. And they have like weird sexual oppression, which I feel like might have been how Josh like manifested his weird issues.
I mean, I don't think so. Well, here, can we? So we'll do the book club. Let's do the book club later, but let's talk about Josh Duggar now.
Okay.
Because
when do you want to do the book club? In a week? When would you guys like? In a week?
When would you? I don't think they can really respond. You got to pick a date and a time, and we'll do it.
Okay. We're gonna do a book club on 6:00 on June 26th to discuss Jill Duggar's book. What is it called?
Counting the Costs.
Counting the Costs.
6 p.m. on the 26th.
Yep.
Mountain Time. Okay, so let's talk about Josh Duggar. So here's what I'm struggling with. I've not watched the show, and I don't believe that there's been any evidence, at least I've been aware of him having been through a traumatic upbringing. And so I think a lot of people are saying, oh, well, it's because it was so restrictive that he then, developed this kind of sexual addiction.
Can I stop you right there?
You may.
I think the trauma comes from that Goddard guy and that program. They were like camps. And there's been evidence of a lot of trauma coming from those they were basically like little schools around the country that he supported that were like those crazy boarding schools, but under the guise of religion. And there is evidence that we don't know if trauma happened to him there, probably, but it happened to a lot of other people.
Yes. So that makes far more sense to me. Like the
ILDP.
The idea that ILDP, what's that?
Was that the Goddard's program, ILDP, Institute for Family? Let me look it up real fast.
Well, while you're looking it up, let me just talk. So I've heard everybody goes, oh, it was because it was so restrictive. I think growing up in a restrictive environment could definitely lead someone to be overly invested in sex, or it could lead someone to be overly awkward related to sex, or it could lead someone to have an unhealthy relationship with sex. There are things, I understand that there's going to be an impact. The idea that leads to pedophilia, I think is very unlikely. In my opinion, it is far more likely that he had some kind of traumatic sexual experience when he was a kid. Because you have to think about it like being consumed with, having a distorted relationship with sex is sort of falls within the realm of normal kind of human experience if you've had an odd relationship with something. Mm-hmm. To be a pedophile is such a distortion of your natural approach to sex. It's such a fringe, negative, caustic behavior to me that only happens if there's some kind of traumatic event that has distorted the way you see something. Mm-hmm. Just being restricted, I don't think causes that. Okay,
well, that's fair.
What do you think?
I'm just trying to correct myself.
Okay.
It's IBLP, Institute in Basic Life Principles.
Yeah. So that Goddard guy had schools that Josh went to?
Yes. So all over the country.
And were kids...
And they had different, like there was a documentary on it, which you should watch.
Were kids molested there?
Yes, and by Goddard. So that came out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Goddard was never married, but he like had this empire of teaching people how to live. You need to have lots of kids. You need to marry. You need to have lots of kids, and your kids need to obey you even in adulthood.
Yeah. So I wonder.
So basically, control, not teaching people to thrive. Mm-hmm. Like really.
It's amazing to me. So that makes if I had to bet, mm-hmm. I would say that something happened in one of the. I think there's a family member. I think there's a neighbor. Maybe it's Goddard or one of his disciples or whatever. Somebody, I think, molested Josh, and I think that is. I mean, from the book, it feels like Jim Bob and team were. Very quick to hide and guard and protect against the truth as it relates to Josh mm-hmm. from coming out. And so I think something happened and we just don't know it.
I'm sure. Plus he's so like, he went on that Ashley Madison thing too. Like I feel like it was a big focal point for him.
What, sex?
Yeah.
Yeah. We should talk about Ashley Madison. Did you watch the Netflix special on it?
No, right? But I get sad watching it.
Really?
Yeah.
You get sad watching it.
Well, I only watched a few minutes, but it just seems like
I watched the whole thing.
There's so many people that are bored with their like spouses, but they still love their spouses. So it's just like about like just needing to get a quick fix or another fix somewhere else. And so I don't know why it makes me sad. It just makes me sad. Like that one woman that was like, I tried to be everything for my husband. And he's like, I don't know why I did it.
I found that husband to be so incredibly insincere. I actively disliked him and struggled. I struggle with him and I struggle with his wife's reaction to him.
Well, I only watched a little bit of it because it's not really, like, the owners of Ashley Madison are both in monogamous relationships, are the leads of it.
So can I just give an over? You're not going to watch it, are you?
No, I will watch it.
Podcast, let's talk. Should we talk about it?
Yeah.
So I feel like let's be systematic here.
Okay.
As it relates to Josh Duggar, is there anything else that's important? Like, I guess I want to talk through that, and we've shifted gears.
Well, I just wish so I didn't. Let's talk through Josh Duggar. So I don't really understand all the things that happened, like what Josh did to his sisters. Like, it was apparently traumatic. But I don't feel like is that out there? Like, exactly what he did to them?
I believe that he was touching them. He would go into their rooms at night and fondle.
And they just let him? Like their big brother?
Yeah, well, they were kids. And you have your older brother coming in doing whatever he wants, and you just take it.
And then how did it get found out? Did one of the girls tell on him?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I thought was a very interesting dynamic where the way it feels to me based on listening to Jill's book, the way it's positioned, I think, in the family, and I think the way the way it was positioned to get Jill, and I don't know who it was, maybe Ginger, somebody else to go and talk to Megyn Kelly, was a little bit like, because you had to vocalize this silly thing that Josh did to you, now we are all at risk. That's how it landed to me. It feels to me like Jim Bob, is that his name? John Bob? Jim Bob. Whatever, the dad, I don't think in the family it was looked at like, look at this horrific thing that Josh did. It was a little bit like, okay, Josh had some issues and we're going to deal with it internally, but really this is being brought up because you sisters had to go talk about it. Like they were molested and victimized as kids, and yet I think within the family there's an undercurrent of, wish you hadn't brought it up because you're making a big deal out of nothing.
Well, no, that's not what happened.
What do you mean?
it got brought up to the dad. The dad sent him away to an ILBP camp or IBLP camp. And then, like, Josh was like...
But there was a police report made, right?
There was a police report, but I think the police report came not in that situation, came because Josh admitted to it with, like, a girl he was courting. And then she wrote a note in disgust to him and put it in a Bible or a book and somehow, like, never gave it to Josh, but it was in the book or Bible. And then they had, like, donated it to other kids, and someone else in the church read it and then turned him in to the pastor of that church, and then that's when it spiraled out of control.
Okay, maybe I'm getting my facts mixed up. I felt like reading the book that I'll at least say this. I felt like reading the book that Jill's parents were not defensive enough of her. I felt like they thought that she had made too much of a small thing.
I don't know about that, but I don't think that they protected other people. So, like, I think that they wanted it to stop in their own house, but I also don't think that they, like, took the steps to actually protect others from Josh, including, like, I mean, honestly, his wife, she is such a victim in this situation. She has 7 kids with him. And I just feel like they didn't take the steps to protect anybody around him from heartbreak. And heartbreak in the way, like, Ashley Madison, him molesting possibly their own kids.
Hold on. You think that they should have protected his wife from him?
I don't think, yeah. I feel like they got married at 19 or 20. I don't feel like he should have married. Yeah.
But they didn't protect anybody from twice he had big events. This is a bad discussion because we don't have all you and I aren't aligned on the facts. But twice he received treatment, and that treatment wasn't professional treatment. It was treatment within the church. He would go away to camps, probably he's not going and actually getting, not actually getting support. And the issue, I agree with you, the issue is that I think that Jim Bob was more into protecting the family identity than protecting potential victims from Josh. So instead of actually treating it or dealing with it the right way, it was all about trying to sweep it under the rug and minimize what he did.
Yes. I think we're on board with that. Yeah. Yes, he did do that. Like, he sent him away to the IBLP camps, which he probably got more abuse of.
So I guess I'm stuck with the part where you and I disagree with, or where we're not aligned is you don't feel like the abuse suffered by the kids in the family was minimized.
I don't know. I think they put an end to it.
How'd they put an end to it?
Like, he wasn't allowed to continue to abuse the daughters after that point.
Well, presumably, you would imagine that there was never that wasn't incentivized. He never was allowed to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't agree or disagree. I just don't know. I don't know I was just saying, I feel like they protected Josh over the daughters. So I think we're on the same page there. Okay. And that was because, and I believe that he did that is because he was trying to actually protect his empire. Yes. Which is this multi-million-dollar empire that the kids had no money in. They were I feel like Jim Bob victimized all of his kids. Yeah. In different ways, but I mean, the idea that none of them had money, is crazy. And how did TLC allow that? I feel like that's child labor laws, and TLC was complicit in that. When you think about it, forcing people to work without compensation. The idea that he said he paid them, like, in the book, but he didn't. So, like, she is accountable to the IRS for a certain amount of money, but She's like,
Right.
I didn't make them.
But so TLC wouldn't know that. What he's reporting to the IRS is one thing. We'll get into the book later, but I also, I thought it was a very good book. This is the last thing I'll say. I thought it was a very good book because it sort of brings you along with her psychological journey. The first 3/4 of the book, I am thinking this is the most naive, psychologically dependent person who's unable to think on her own. Right. But then by the end of the book, you sort of see her that as she's describing the events in her life, that's where she was. And it takes her a long time before she sort of pulls her head out and sees the bigger picture. And because there are a lot of things that are happening that I'm like, how do you not, you're married to a lawyer and an accountant. How is this, this is very obvious what's happening earlier on than they realized and responded to. So anyway, we'll do a book club. What is it, the 26th at 6 p.m.? Be there. We'll do a live YouTube book club.
All right.
That's it? Nothing else to talk about?
Nothing else.
All right. Love you.
Love you. Bye.